sweet time. There we go.
There it is.
And it says we're going live. It says we're here.
Are we, though?
Not all. Not completely. There's parts of us that are in parts unknown. I don't know. But I'm going to move forward as if we are here.
Yep.
What I'm hoping for is that the audio works properly.
Right. Need audio check, folks. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, from the little picture I can see, it should be working. But last time we thought it was working and it was not working.
That's true.
So do you want to unmute us on your screen and then you'll know for a fact, or turn the volume up or whatever it is you do? I'm afraid to say anything until I know. Yes!
The audio works properly.
Okay.
Right. Need audio check, folks.
Okay, now it's like it's Inception. Okay. We know we're officially here. So, yay. Hello. You're not teasing me, you're teasing them. Hello.
Hello.
Kayla Lord.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. This is our weekly live stream where we record our podcast, the audio version of which hits all major podcast apps every Friday. We are here 9 minutes early. If you are here for the stream and don't like idle chit chat, you must be new here. You've got time to go do something else. If you are here after the stream, but before I put in timestamps, fast forward by 9 minutes if you don't like idle chit chat. I do try very hard to get timestamps in as close as possible after the live stream, but it doesn't always work out that way. So, okay.
Yeah. And as you can tell, I'm in one of those moods today.
You are. I think it's okay. I'm going to say hi to folks. Hi, Missy. Hi, JB. Hi, John Brownstone. Hi, Kitty. Hi, Brittany. Hi, Mr. Spock. Hi, Baby Girl. Hi, Tayshu. Hi, Silent Wing. Hi, Christina. Hi, Lady Blooding. Hi, Dorina. Hi, Junie. Hi, Claire. Hi, Donza. And Silent. Yes, apparently we could have been validating our own existence, but it's more fun when y'all do it.
Right.
And yay, Junie, for getting an actual notification.
Right.
YouTube is often so rude, I have found.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're here early. We are here, and yet we are not all here. We have been struggling.
That pretty much sums it up.
We have been struggling.
I have been slogging through the morning.
Same. Hi, Nitty Freckles. My brain wants to autocorrect that to Naughty Freckles, but I mean,
well,
that's appropriate on a certain level. But
Yeah,
you don't just change people's names for them. That's not okay.
Yeah,
So. Yeah, I had a rough night last night, and it knocked me out into the evening. I do not usually take a nap, but I certainly was passed out on the couch by 7 o'clock.
You were actually ordered to take a shower and then go sit down.
I know, it actually took a lot out of me to take that shower, but when I got out of the shower and I was, hadn't dried off yet, and the air hit and it was all cold, I was like, okay, this is heaven. And this morning I don't know if I'm feeling different effects or the same. I don't know. I just know I'm not all.
Yeah.
It's like slogging through mud today.
Yep.
Hi, Ben. So, yay, Christina. Is this like when you see radio DJs and you're like, whoa, I had a different picture in my head.
Right.
I am not offended by that, because every time I see somebody that I've only heard and I finally see a picture or see video of them, I'm like, nope, that was not the picture I painted in my head. Just wasn't.
Nope.
Oh, congratulations, Nitty Freckles.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
That's definitely a big deal.
Yeah.
Some great news. Silent Wing, I pointed that out, the coordination of his shirt and my hair, and I pointed out that I had the turquoise hair before he got that turquoise shirt. I was there when he picked out the turquoise shirt. He was not appreciative of me pointing that out and noticing, so.
It's not so much the fact that you pointed it out, it is the way that you pointed it out.
Which makes the reel I posted today on that handle I hate over on
Very
Instagram.
appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Rara. So, Ben, you were right.
Yeah, that's very true.
That is very true.
Yep.
Hi, Lauren. What's going on with us that's butt rub material? Other than that, we're not all here, more so than usual. I think that's it. Silent, I think it would be really cool if JB dyed any part of any of the hair on his body, any color.
The beard.
Sure, why not? I don't know whose account it was. It's not anybody I follow. They just sort of showed up in my like random scrolling of Instagram reels. But it was a couple, and the guy had an undercut, had like longer hair and an undercut. And then the top part was dyed turquoise, and then he had it like up. One reel I saw, he had it up in like a braid kind of thing, and one it was sort of like a ponytail, so you could see the undercut. But yeah, I was like, ooh, I'm not going to do that, but ooh. Hi, Eva. Tissue, I think I'm just setting boundaries.
Right. Could it be topping? Maybe.
I mean, I am teasing. I'm offering and then going, yeah, get the fuck away from me.
Right.
I think I'm more of a tease.
Tease, yeah. Or
a
sassy brat with that shirt.
I'm sassy. I'll take that. I am probably brat adjacent. I almost put that in the caption of that reel, brat adjacent, and then I went, I'm going to get so many people wanting to like debate that with me or not getting it. I went, no, we'll just take that out. Just delete.
Brittany asked where you got the shirt. That was a Rural King find.
No, it was not. No, this was a gift
Okay.
from my aunt.
Ah.
And I think she said she shopped. Was it the Purple store?
Oh,
or was it just like a site she found with t-shirts? Because she got t-shirts for everybody at Christmas this year that had like things on them that were correct for us. They were apt. So I can't remember if she went to the Purple store, which I think if you Google the Purple store, it just kind of comes up, or if it was some random t-shirt site, but I don't know where she got it. The only thing I don't like about this t-shirt, I love the color, love what it says. The collar is too high and too tight.
Too high for you.
I am very tempted to take scissors to it.
Ooh.
I am. Hi, C. Stevens.
Make it a V-neck t-shirt, huh?
Okay. Junie, boiled eggs are 1 butt rub long. There you go. Now you all have cooking tips if you need to make boiled eggs. Just time it by a butt rub.
1 butt rub long.
Works for me. Works for me. I'm on my second giant cup of coffee today. Doesn't feel like it's helping. Doesn't feel like it's helping at all.
I gave up after my second, switched to water.
I'll have to switch to water at some point.
Yeah.
I think my problem last night, my anxiety was high for whatever reason. I have no clue what would have triggered it. I just was, I was tightly wound yesterday.
Yeah, you were.
And then I think I got way overheated. And I know I had not eaten well or hydrated well all day. Like I had eaten healthy things, but not enough, not by any stretch of the imagination. And most of what I had ingested in the day was an extra large Diet Coke from Wawa. Yeah, no.
Well, if you think about it, you had an early morning appointment.
I was running all day.
That you left. Then you came home, went to another appointment with one kid, came home, left for another appointment with the second kid, came home,
started dinner,
and then left with an appointment with me.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
So, you were, you had every right to be.
Yeah, it was
overwhelmed by the end of the day.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
I just mostly took the day off of work. I wasn't even going to try to do anything on that, which is fine. If I know that in advance and I can sort of prep for it mentally and like actually with, with the work, then I'm fine. But yeah, I woke up and I convinced myself I'd gotten appointment times wrong, that I wasn't going to have enough time. I had plenty of time. I was calling the doctor's office because now part of that I'm very used to with all these doctor's appointments we go to now. I get both usually from the different offices, both a phone call / voicemail because I'm not answering the phone, and a text, and sometimes even an email. And from this one doctor for the oldest, I got none of that, and I was like, did I get this completely wrong? And so I had to make a quick phone call just to confirm. And the lady who answered the phone was kind, but she thought I was crazy. She was like, oh, you're calling to check. I was like, I don't trust what I have written down. Please confirm for me. So, Junie, I don't ever get a sandwich when I go to Wawa. I go for the Diet Coke. If I need a snack, it might be like a little something, like a bag of chips or like a little, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I'm there for the Diet Coke. I'm especially there in the evenings for the caffeine-free Diet Coke.
And I just want to say a hello and welcome to all you folks out there today.
There we go. And it is officially noon, so we will get started.
There you go.
As you can probably tell from the title, we're talking about the concept of the mental load. We all have it to some extent. We're going to talk about what that is, if it's not a term you're familiar with, and how we experience it in our power exchange from each of our unique perspectives, dom and sub. As always, please remember these are our personal experiences. They might not apply. Your mileage may vary, but let's at least talk about it, because I've noticed that when we talk about topics like this, it gets other people thinking about them in their own situations.
Sure.
And I think that can be useful. If you enjoy this at any point, we love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And go ahead and ring that notification bell. Sometimes YouTube really does care and sends you notifications of new content.
Just do what Daddy says. I have announcements, but I will do those after you click the magic button. Really? Okay. And before we get started, I know you're going to turn on the fan, so that's the hum in the back. If anybody's like, what does that sound? We're hot. It's Florida. It's June. It's hot around here, y'all. Okay, so announcements. The first one I'm very excited about. A big, huge, wonderful thank you to Beducated for sponsoring this week's episode. We've talked about Beducated before. We're talking about them again. They are an online learning platform, like others you've probably heard sponsorships by, but they focus on sex and kink, and they work with legit sex, kink, relationship experts and educators who are the ones that provide the classes, and there are classes about so many things. You don't have to be in a relationship to take these classes, but if you are in a relationship and you take the class together, chances are you're improving your sex life, your kink life, your relationship, whatever class you take. They offer over 100 courses, and I've even noticed I was in the platform, I've been in it for a few weeks now. They've got these things they call quick bites, quickies. I think they just call it quickies. Ooh. And it's right, instead of a full course, it's a little bite-sized bit, so you can get some real quick tips sort of on the go.
There you go.
The things we care about, of course, are the kink courses. Do I want their kink section to be bigger than it is? Yes. Has it grown since we learned that they exist? Also, yes. Okay. And the classes are primarily video based. There will be some text. Sometimes there's a PDF. Sometimes there's extra, but it's mostly video. And like those other platforms that aren't talking what the cool kids are talking about, it's a go at your own pace kind of thing. You'll watch a 3, 5, 10 minute segment and you're like, oh shit, I don't have time. You come back later, watch some more, pick up where you left off. The kind of tips that the educators give you are actionable. You can be in bed alone or together and start practicing right away. I'm saying. Where did I lost my train of thought. Okay, the ones we're most partial to, they have a shibari class if you're trying to learn some basics of rope. They have a body bondage one, which that's just sexy to me because that's kind of how I like my restraint. I'm you sure you can tie me up, but mostly just pin me down, please and thank you. They have a wax play course. They have courses that they put under the kink section that maybe some people don't consider kinky. Some people do, but they're there. There's pegging, there's anal, there's all kinds of stuff like that. They also have 2. Now, you will not catch me taking these. Y'all know how I feel about this, but they have 2 courses devoted to dirty talk. So if you're like, yeah, I'm into it, but man, I struggle. There you go. You got 2 courses. So if any of this sounds of interest to you, if you're like, maybe this is what I need to learn some new things, especially, hot summer, we're trying to stay inside where it's air conditioned, assuming you have air conditioning, heat it up in another way is what I'm saying. Use our link in the places, description box for YouTube, show notes for podcast listeners. Check it out. If you use our code LOVING, you get 40% off an annual pass. They let you look around for 24 hours at no charge, so they don't even charge you like that first day. You can sort of look around and go, hey, is this what I need? Is this what I want? If it's not, fine. Cancel everything. You're good. But if it is, you're good to go. They also offer a 14-day money-back guarantee. So if you're like, I thought this was something that I needed, and within those first 2 weeks, you can get your money back. But they've got some good stuff. I think you might enjoy it, is what I'm saying. So, link in the places. Loving is the code. Save 40% off when you get an annual pass. Check it out. Thank you to Beducated for sponsoring this week's episode. Yay! This is where I wish we did sound effects with like applause and like cheers and stuff. Next announcement, I actually wrote it down so I would remember it. This Friday, what are dates? It'll be June 16th. So for podcast listeners, the day this episode comes out, we're going live on YouTube, 9:30 p.m. for our monthly virtual munch, random chit-chatty hangout where we just sort of bullshit. Also a BDSM Q&A. Last month, y'all got us to stay until God. Was it like close to 1 o'clock?
I think so.
That will not happen this time because we have stuff we have to do on Saturday.
We have such a busy weekend coming up. Oh my gosh.
Yes, but we're still going live. It'll probably still be close to midnight. So if you can't be there right at 9:30, you got time. 9:30 p.m. Eastern, our time zone. I don't know your time zone. Conversion things on the internet exist if you got to figure that out. So we're going live. It's open to everybody. We're hanging out. We're being goofy. We'll also answer questions. I don't think there will be adult beverages at this one because we do have an early morning on Saturday.
And a long drive.
And a very long drive and a lot to do that day. But we might talk about that more later. But that is coming up this Friday, June 16th. Yay! Okay. Let's see. Let's get started here. The first thing I wanted to do was to talk about what the heck the expression mental load even means.
Yeah, when you brought this up to me, I was like, I kind of looked at you like a deer in headlights.
Right, but then the moment I explained it to you, you went, oh yeah. Because I think all of us experience it to some level, but we might not know that there's a term for it. And quite frankly, I have learned about it most through the Instagram algorithm going, oh, you want to know about relationships here. And then they tend to be the most non-kinky, cis-het relationships ever. And I'm like, am I giving off those vibes? Okay. But I learned stuff and then I put it through my kink filter and go, oh, I know how that applies to kink life. So the concept of mental load is the cognitive effort involved in managing, in this definition, your work, your relationships, a family, and a household. Mental load is the whole bundle of details you manage throughout the day. It has to do with your responsibilities, formal or not, as well as the decisions you have to make. I've got 2 links to articles. In the New York Times, they did an article with somebody who had actually studied the concept of mental load. And that person said that they feel like there are 4 parts to mental load. Okay. There's anticipate, identify, decide, monitor. So I'm going to give you a very non-kinky example that fit really well because I just did it last night. And then I realized what I had done, and then we could talk about it. And we were like, oh, yeah, we did. We basically negotiated mental load here. So every so often I go through a streak of just for several days in a row, I'm just thinking of what we need to have for dinner, planning it, right? So I'm anticipating that a meal has to be cooked for the family. I identify the problem. What the fuck are we going to eat? I identify what ingredients do we have. I identify what have we not had for a while, so not everybody's bored with the options. And then I have to decide, do we have it, what it'll be, I have to get it done, and then I have to monitor it, make sure the ingredients are there, make sure it gets cooked. It's probably me cooking. The whole meal process is like start to finish a constant thing. I think most of us can relate to that. Who knew as adults that the thing we would think about the most is how will I feed myself and anybody living in my household up to 3 times a day, every day for the rest of my life? Nobody prepared me for that with adulthood. So, night before we record, are you trying to get Onyx up here? if anybody's wondering what the scratching is. Night before we record, I'd had about 4 or 5 days in a row where I'd just been thinking of our meals and planning them and cooking them and making sure we had what we need. And oh my God, Onyx is all around the cords. Okay. And last night I finally looked at JB and went, I love you. I'm happy to participate in this part of our life together. I said, but I am exhausted.
Yeah, you did.
Please. I don't care what it is you decide. But for tomorrow night, which happens to be tonight, I was like, I don't care what we eat. I just need to be the one. I need to not be the one who has to decide it or prepare it. Please. And JB went, yeah, sure. I'll take care of that. And then it took the mental load off so well that I forgot dinner even existed. He told me last night what we were going to have tonight, and we do that for one another so we're both aware of what needs to come out of a freezer to thaw, if anything. And we both forgot about it until like 10 o'clock this morning. You're like, oh crap, yeah. I got to pull the hamburger out to thaw. And I went, oh, I handed over that mental load so well, I forgot dinner existed. So everything we do has some level of mental load. That's just the nature of things. I feel like this topic connects really well to conversations we've had in the past, like decision fatigue. Like if you've been under a mental load for a lot of things, or just it's been a very stressful time and the things you're having to think about are causing stress or causing psychological whatever, decision fatigue can be what follows, as is burnout, which we've talked about that. And then of course, from I don't even know how long ago when we talked about self-care, one of the ways to take care of yourself is, when you can, passing off some level of mental load to give yourself a break. So thinking about our personal mental loads in life in general, but also specifically within Power Exchange, especially when it's causing exhaustion or burnout, or we're just not feeling like we're firing on all cylinders. That's how I know I'm not. I almost couldn't think of that expression. It becomes important to think about and then to talk about with a partner to see where you're both at. Can somebody take some of that mental load, even temporarily? So it's something that affects everybody, regardless of the flavor of your relationship. It affects you even when you are not in a relationship. Sometimes there's not much you can do about your mental load, especially if maybe you don't have a partner, or if you and your partner are both under extreme strain. That's been our experience lately. But I do think being aware of it, being able to kind of recognize and go, oh, and then sometimes, quite frankly, sometimes what you do is you just sit down and go, that thing that I really need to decide is just gonna have to wait a hot minute. I can't right now. But so that's sort of the all-encompassing thing about mental load. What, based on that, the definition, like, what do you think about mental load? Your mental load, the mental load.
I'm trying not to think about it because I don't have much space left up there right now. What does that tell you? It
does sometimes feel like being a hard drive that's just running out of memory. Like there's just, it was a 4 terabyte doodly lolly. Oh, well, we've used 3.999 terabytes. The conversation tends to come up most where I am learning about this concept in cis-het relationships, where the women in those relationships tend to take on the lion's share of keeping a relationship, keeping a household, keeping a family going. And even with the way we have structured our relationship, even with the lines of communication that we have open, even with your absolute ability and willingness to participate fully, I do think it still happens to me. I don't know how much of it is gender role and how much of it is relationship role. We'll get into that. But the way I kind of wanted to talk about this, because everybody will experience how a heavy mental load affects them. But I do think it affects everybody differently, is what I'm trying to say. I am so sorry. The words are just vanishing as I'm saying them. I don't even have faith in myself
today, folks.
That I'm saying the words before they vanish, so there will be a lot of repeating. But I want to talk about mental load specifically within power exchange, from your perspective as a dominant, because dominants will have a certain mental load based on the responsibilities you take on as the dominant, and then we'll switch gears and I'll share my experiences, and mine are going to be probably very specific to service submission, which not all submissives can relate to. I get that. But let's start first with you. And based on what we understand about mental load, good and bad, negative, positive, neutral, go.
I would have to say that some days, as a dominant, it can be overwhelming. All right? Because there's so many things that are going through my mind at any given time, especially because of the fact that we also work together and our work life revolves around kink. You know, it's like, okay, I need to get up tomorrow morning and I'm going to be out in the shop. What am I going to make? What do I have time? I need to make knives. I need to make this. Oh, and then there's this that has been sitting on the side for how long. And the one thing I am grateful for in our relationship is that in our dynamic, we have very solid roles, okay, in that you have certain functions that you perform, and I do not have to follow you around.
Thank God.
You know, look over your shoulder. You know, did you do this? Did you take care of this? Did you take care of that? And that is something I am very grateful for. And that helps me a lot. You know, but and I'm going to say, even with you know, the kink load of what we have to do, you know, okay, you know, Wednesday is our time to play. What are we going to do?
Right. Yeah. There's the mental load of figuring out what we're doing.
Figuring all that, you know, okay, well, now we're at a point where we have to kind of keep things quiet. So what do we do now to, you know, to keep things quiet and go from there? You know, but I'm going to say, because as us, as a couple, there are so many other things that factor into this that are outside of the kink. Okay, there is our life with the kids. There is, you know, I know you don't think about this so much, but I do. You know, because neighbors, what's going on?
I do think about it, but I rely on you to think
but
about it more.
You don't deal with it. I am the one who, when I'm outside working in the garage, I am the face, the front face of this house, so to speak, because people see me way more than they see you.
And I like it that way.
I
that's
know
by design.
Yeah. You know, and then there is, you know, what appointments do we have today? You know, I foolishly was looking forward to summer with the boys being out of school, thinking things would kind of calm down a little bit with the running around and get a chance to breathe. Boy, was I mistaken. I think we have more appointments than we did prior. And, you know, I am grateful for the online calendar we created. Very grateful for that. That has been a big help. But, you know, in balancing all these things, one thing I have learned, and I'm still learning, even at this point in my life, it can be hard to figure out what to prioritize.
Oh, yeah. If everything's a priority, then nothing's a priority.
You know, because there are sometimes I find things that, oh, this really should be a major priority, and this, you know, can kind of get pushed to the back a little bit, and then, oh no, that thing you thought wasn't important turns out to be very important, and you know, and it is a mental juggling act, is what it is.
For sure.
That's the best way I can put it. Is it's a mental juggling act.
Now, specific to your role in our relationship, the dom, the decider, the one in charge, the daddy, when it comes to, is for us, we're 24/7, so our power exchange overlaps and intersects with everything we do. The only thing that's sort of outside the bounds is parenting, and even that, I will default to my role when I agree, and then I will step outside of my role when there's contention and we got to deal with it.
Right.
But when you are aware that what you're needing to think about, do, plan, figure out, falls within the scope of being your dominant self, like you're going to ultimately make this decision, or you're going to direct this, or you're going to lead, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
Does that make bearing the mental load of whatever it is easier? Does it matter? Is it contextual? Does it depends on what's going on?
It depends on what's going on. There are some days that I can just, mentally balance things out in a heartbeat without even hardly giving it a thought. And other times, like today, actually the last few days, it's been a chore. It has been a chore to work things out because there has just been so much.
Yeah.
So much.
I feel like, I know from my perspective, every activity and every detail and every future plan, all happening at once, all have their own large load to figure out.
That's just to give you an example, we have been in a whirlwind of appointments all this week. Everybody, I still have some coming up tomorrow. And in my head, I was thinking about the thing that we have to do this weekend was next weekend.
Oh, no, I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
I hate it when that happens.
There you go.
Because you're like, oh, I'm free and clear, and I've got this time, and I don't have to think about that for a little bit longer. And then, oops, no, actually, it's impending.
Yep.
Oh, no.
So, and that throws a wrench in the gears, so to speak, when you just said
It's
this,
like, let's go over our schedule.
Friday night we're going to be doing the hangout, and then next morning, and like, oh fuck. Yeah, so it's tough sometimes. And
are you, and again, I'm sure this is dependent upon everything else going on, but I'm thinking of some of the stuff coming up. Oh, you're walking away and I want to ask you a question. It's just Lola readjusting on her bed. It's good.
I thought it was a cat.
No. It was Lola. Anyway, thinking about some of the things coming up that you have to plan for and you have to make happen, like the stuff happening with your mom's, it feels so weird to say estate, but technically that's what it is.
Yeah.
Your mom's estate. All I can do is facilitate and assist. Like I can't, I don't make decisions for that. That's all you with whatever support I can offer. But that's also a highly charged emotional thing on top of just being kind of a logistic nightmare. So the mental load isn't just how do we make this happen? It's how do I navigate my feelings, this person's feelings, what might come,
Yeah.
Just double the mental load of it. When you are adding the emotional aspect, good or bad, like I'm picking an example that is, in one way, it's a bittersweet thing because it's like, okay, finally, but also, oh my God, this like low-key sucks. Do you find that, what do you find bogs you down more in that situation? The emotional aspect of the mental load or the logistical?
For me, the emotional.
Is that typical for you, or is it depends on the situation?
For me, it is that the emotional is more typical. The logistics of something, that is something I can very easily work out. That is not the problem. It's the emotions. For example, what was it now? A week ago, 2 weeks, when we went down to Newport Richie?
Time.
Yeah.
Time has no meaning.
Right.
What are words?
So, we were on our way down there, meet with my sister and start working things out, of which I did not expect to even that much to happen.
Right, you didn't even have the faith in the situation to think that was going to happen.
The way things have been, I did not even have faith. I figured the night before she was going to call and cancel.
Sure.
And, just to show you folks, too, a little bit inner workings of my head and how, the emotional part plays a big thing for me. I can't think of words
What
now.
are words? We don't know.
But anyway, as we were driving down there, I turned to this one here, and I said, look, I need you to be my, how'd I put it, stopgate.
Yeah, you basically said, keep me in check.
Keep me in check.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know me. I can be very willful.
Can be very emotional.
Very stubborn when I think something should be done a certain way.
Yeah, you are not like this with everybody. You're not even like this with a lot of people, but in certain situations with certain people, your ability to compromise gets shut off like a tap. Like it's just
it's either full on or off, more like a switch. And especially dealing with that portion of the family, it happens quite a bit. Past trauma, folks.
Yeah, I love that.
So I told her, I said, look, I need you to keep me in check. Because I know how I can be, especially with these people. I need you, if you think I am getting to a point that I am digging my heels in unreasonably, I need you to stop me.
So I'm curious about that. Speaking of the mental load side of that, did knowing that I would do that and I'm capable of doing that, did that ease anything for you? Did that make it a little bit easier?
It did. By giving you that task,
sure,
so to speak.
Sure. It was absolutely a task. Yep.
It made me feel like, okay, I can do this. I have a safety valve.
Okay.
I have a safety valve, so I know that if I start pushing too hard or stepping out of line, it will be in check. And that in and of itself right there, I think made that whole day a lot more fluid.
And I think you benefited from something that part of the mental load of the definition is there's anticipation, right? Like you anticipate what needs to be done or you anticipate what might happen. And in your mind, you're planning for that. Now, not everybody does that. I get it. But many of us do. And I think in a situation where you know that the outcome could be and probably will be negative, the front load of the mental load is a lot heavier because you're not just preparing for what you need to do or how it might go, you're then having to prepare for, to manage your own emotions, to deal with other people's emotions.
Right.
And in that particular situation, it went better than either of us anticipated.
Yeah.
So thankfully, you are the type of person that when things start going better than you anticipate, you kind of flow with that. And so you were a bit lighter. I was still over there like in my mind going, watch for unnecessary arguments here that from an outsider's perspective, like that's not productive. Like I was still watching for it, but I could feel you sort of lighten up and, find the way to go with the flow because things were going better than you anticipated. And I don't know about you. I like it, obviously, when things are better than I anticipate. But I get frustrated usually with myself if I spent all of that mental energy and effort prior to worrying about worst case scenario, only to find out I didn't have to spend all that time and energy worrying about worst case scenario. Yeah. It's like, oh God, okay, I wish I was wired differently.
Well, no, and I understand that, and there are certain things, that yes, that absolutely applies. With this, there have been so many things, that had been not copacetic in either, and so many walls
Sure.
run into.
And also, you're a dominant who the core of being a dominant is at a certain level you want control, and you want control over more parts of your life than probably the average person, and also have a very low tolerance for being out of control in certain parts of your life.
Yeah. Well, I think too what it comes down to, I have, and I don't know if it is part of my dominance, or if it is at this point more perceived by my age, but I have extremely low tolerance for bullshit anymore.
That is true.
Okay.
That's true.
And that there was quite a bit of bullshit.
Sure.
Let's be honest about it.
Right.
Involved with this, and that's what was really getting under my skin.
Sure. That added to your mental load. For sure.
But even though this was I don't want to say a mundane thing, but an everyday life thing, knowing that I could give you that task, kind of bringing some of it under our power exchange, under our dynamic, helped.
Yeah, I have found that that sometimes I can ease my own mental load by leaning into, hey, Daddy, you're the one in charge here. Will you take this on? Will you help me with this? Yeah. I'd like to switch gears a little bit because there is definitely I think people, I know in my personal experience, I'm much more aware of mental load when things are bad or negative or just hard. And I think that's when mental load absolutely increases. But because we're talking about power exchange and kink here, I would like to switch gears real quick.
Okay.
And focus on what the mental load is like when you are exploring a new kink, planning a scene. Because as we've talked about in the past, in our relationship, unless there's something that I come across, I'm like, ooh, yeah, let's do that. I'm thinking about other things. You tend to be the one who's like, oh, I came across this thing.
Right.
I'm interested. Are you interested? You tend to introduce the kink activities, toys, methods, whatever. And then, of course, as we've stated many times in the past, you plan all of our scenes. The input I might provide is, I'm in the mood for this. I'm not in the mood for that. My tummy hurts. It's almost always my tummy hurts or my head hurts, to give you the information. But so there is a legitimate mental load, although it may be a positive one and an enjoyable one, for that being part of your role as a dominant. So let's, for a few minutes, kind of talk about that, because I think that there are probably, especially newer dominants out there, who might find themselves surprised at maybe how overwhelming it can be at times, or how you can be unsure of yourself, not just from let's physically do this, but holy shit, now I gotta plan it and make it happen and think about it. And that's a real part of power exchange.
It is. I mean, you've known me long enough. When it comes to the research part, to learning a thing, man, I'm all in it.
Oh, I trust anything you tell me you've researched, because I think I'm a researcher and you got me beat. You've got the patience I don't have.
I mean, when I'm looking into something, regardless of what it is, kink or otherwise, before I even bring it up to you, I've researched it. I've got 50 tabs open in the browser.
Yup.
But when it comes to the research, I'm all in it. I am all in it. Give me books, give me websites, give me, anything like that, and I'm all over it. I think what comes after that has become a little more difficult, the planning of everything. We are both at points in our lives where there are so many variables outside of our power exchange and our kink that need to be brought into play, so to speak.
You have to consider so much
different
Who's
things.
in the house? How long will they be gone if they're leaving?
Right.
Is this a loud thing or a quiet thing?
Yeah. Where your mental state is, and, the way things have been with me, where my mental state is, where, let's face it, I've been, have my own health issues.
Sure.
What is my physical thing like? What is your physical thing like? So in planning something, all that needs to be taken into account anymore. More so than just saying, hey, let's do this tomorrow, okay?
Right. I'm wondering, and I think I know the answer to this. I think this one is an obvious one, but from a mental load standpoint, I feel like being in a long distance relationship, the mental load of deciding what we would do when was almost easier because we were allocating the time. Kids were dealt with. We were coming together for that purpose, and our lives were not so intertwined that yes, things might have to shift if you arrived and I'm feeling bad or you're feeling bad. Okay, plans, whatever. But in general, our kink life when we didn't live together.
It was in a way simpler.
It was simpler. It was probably more creative. It was certainly kinkier.
And
yet,
in all honesty, view myself as poly. Had been in a long distance relationship, and I can't do it anymore. I don't have it in me to be able to do that anymore.
Because there are other factors in a long distance relationship that require a huge mental load that aren't about the physical. It's usually about the mental or emotional connection and navigating two separate lives coming together. In that vein, living together makes it a lot easier because we know most of the time what's going on with the other one. We already have our lives kind of in sync. So the mental load of just when am I going to talk to you?
Yeah.
That's not even a factor anymore.
So I mean, at this point, not that I'm at a point for any other outside relationship right now, but long distance for me is just totally off the table.
It's funny, as said many times, you're non-monogamous in practice. I'm in theory. But sometimes when I think about what it takes, even when it's good and it's exciting and it's giving you all the serotonin and dopamine of flirtations that turn into something that then you've got the new relationship energy. The mental load of just thinking about what that's like, even if it would feel good and it would be exciting, I'm exhausted before we the theoretical person that doesn't even exist. I'm like, oh no, too tired, can't do it. There's not enough room up here to give somebody what they deserve.
That's the thing. We're talking about how this all, intertwines with kink, but that mental load incorporates with everything.
Yeah, you can't.
There's not a distinct.
Separate it all out now.
There's not like a drawn line that distinctly
I'm not
divides.
In this moment going, okay, I'm only thinking about the mental load as my life as a submissive doing this one task, and that's it. Everything else is blanked out behind a wall. It all is piling on top of one another.
They're all interwoven and intertwined in so many ways. So. It's it can be tough, and like I say, a lot of it comes down to, there are some days I can just okay, this is what we're doing. This is how it's going to go. This is what's going to be used. This is, and when it's going to happen. And excuse me, folks. And other days, take for today, for example. Normally Wednesday mornings are when we play. And I looked at you this morning because you asked me, you said, do you have anything planned? And I was like, yes, Matter of fact, I do. But I am at a point today, don't ask me to do any of it.
Right.
You know, let's plan for tomorrow afternoon. Mm-hmm. You know, because right now, for me to, you know, do anything, I don't have it in me, physically or emotionally.
Well, here's what's funny about that. Mental load being what it is, how we've both been kind of just, we're overwhelmed, we're tired, we're all of that. I don't know. Normally, I'm asking you about that on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't wait until Wednesday morning when I should be naked to go, what's our scene today?
Yeah.
So, unless there's something else you want to add, I think that's a good segue into. So we're gonna switch gears a bit into. I can only speak from my perspective and the part of me that gets just exhausted by my mental load. I absolutely directly connect to the side of me that is a service submissive. My baby girl side. She's light and fun and or sometimes whiny and pouty, but like that's the no thoughts, no decisions, just vibes side. The part of me that is planning and thinking and figuring out and trying to decide what happens next, who, what, where, that's my service submissive side. Now, in our relationship, I am not just the service submissive to whatever JB wants, needs, we've decided together. I'm also the default parent. I'm also the life admin coordinator. Partly because we lean heavily into each other's strengths and skill sets.
True.
And when it comes to planning, coordinating, making sure the little details are handled, I am good at that. Can JB do that? Yes, but it's going to be actually a bigger mental load for him to figure out his way through that when I'm like, I got this. It's going to be faster and easier for me. So as a service submissive in a 24/7 power exchange, I am thinking of both the tasks and routines that we have very carefully negotiated, and I know exactly what's expected of me, and I know what I need to do. I'm then thinking about how that needs to fit into every other part of my day, that some of it is just life of being a parent, of being a business owner, of just being a human being. Some of it is, and we've talked about this, like it's been a hot minute, we both allow me, like I like it this way, and JB mostly is okay with this. I do a lot of anticipatory services, not reactive. I'm not waiting to be told something. I'm looking at a situation and going, how can I do this and help him out? How can I be of service? I don't even think of it as be of service. I think of how can I take care of my daddy? And I look at most of our life together through that lens. So the mental load when you take on those tasks, regardless of your role, can the dominant partner be the default parent, be the life admin? Of fucking course. And in most power exchanges, you are trying to take care of each other. You just might view it differently or use different words. It's not always a caregiver little kind of thing. I get that. But almost every moment of every day, part of my mental load is there something I need to be doing to figure out a thing that takes care of the people that I care about? And that's everybody in this household. So that's what doctor's appointments need to be made. I dragged the oldest in for just a wellness visit because knock on wood, we're so lucky our kids do not tend to get physically ill or injured. When you're an indoor cat who mostly stays in your one corner of your house, it's real hard to get injured that way, except for maybe strain from holding the gamer controller thingies. I don't know. Right. But the carpal tunnel is his problem 20 or 30 years from now. So we're very fortunate with that. But I was like, in a flash out of nowhere, as we're, one of my constant or consistent thoughts is about this kid going off to college. I had this flash in my brain of, wait, aren't there recommended vaccinations or procedures or whatever for kids going off to college? Holy shit, I haven't had this kid into a doctor for physical health in a couple of years. We need to do that this summer. So the way I operate is I had the thought, I had to act on it, or the thought would just be gone. Right. And that that happened in a moment where I might have been making dinner, or I might have been planning a business thing, or I might have been just going through a task like getting the bed ready, doing coffee, like whatever our power exchange tasks are. And that's the effect of when you are the person in the relationship who has your hands in all parts of life. The mental load doesn't even stop when I'm sleeping. My dreams stress me out. Like, when I remember my dreams, lately at least, they're always moving very fast, and I'm always trying to catch up to something or run from something or remember something. They're very, very anxious, focused. There's so much anxiety in my dreams. And yes, finally sitting down and making a calendar. Somebody asked in the live stream. It's just a Google calendar. It's just nothing fancy.
Yeah, no, Google. Yeah.
But we share it. Doing that helped a lot.
Yes.
It absolutely helped a lot, because what I have found that I've had to get better at, but I could only get better at because you were the type of partner who was willing to understand that there's a mental load to everything, and you'll share it to the extent that you can, was I had to let you in on that, right? I had to say, hey, this is a strain. This is hard. And I think we even had the conversation of, I love you so much, but you're actually adding a burden by asking for this thing before the calendar.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know. So every time you wanted to make an appointment, you had to stop and you had to ask me. And the thing about mental load is, when you're already carrying around whatever it is that you're thinking about, planning, monitoring, trying to like get things done, and somebody stops and says, hey, I have a question. I need to ask for, even if it's 30 seconds of mental load, please remember this thing for me because I need this information. It can easily become overwhelming. What I've gotten better at is letting you know when I'm overwhelmed. You've gotten better at, when you're like, I have a task for you, baby girl, you'll usually go like the silent comma, not right this second. Because the moment, if it's a day where I'm feeling overwhelmed mentally, and you start a sentence with, baby girl, I've got a task for you, it's immediate side eye. It's immediate.
Oh, yeah.
What? Now, there are times, and you can't possibly anticipate this, so I don't try to make him. I don't have this expectation. There are times when you're like, baby girl, I've got a task for you. And everything's kind of like quiet in my mind. Things are just ticking along as they should. There's not like pressing things like coming at me from all different directions. Is part of that whatever the mix in my brain is that makes it neurospicy? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe everybody has all this noise in their head all the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But on a good day, I'm like, okay, daddy, whatever you need. And I'll write it down, or I'll put it in the calendar, or I'll do it immediately. Even if I don't have a deadline, it's better if I do shit immediately, even if I don't have, that's just better. But on a rough day, when I'm thinking about this kid's need and that kid's need, and the bill that has to get paid and the dinner that has to get made, and what you need, both what you've asked for explicitly and what I am noticing that I want to be able to do for you, or that would make me feel good to do those things for you. But I'm like, how do you fit all this in? There's too much. And then, poor innocent you, you're like, baby girl, I have a task for you. The fact that one eyeball doesn't just explode right then and there from the blood pressure rise is pretty impressive. The blood pressure meds are working. So, and I think as both a service submissive who wants to be the one doing the things to take care of the people that she loves, especially my daddy Dom, but also as somebody socialized absolutely in certain gender roles of, this is what you do in a relationship, but also being a person who I was a 12-year-long relationship where I just took care of shit, because I'm kind of that person that, I have an expectation that a partner will help, but even if they're not helping, shit still has to get done.
Right.
And I'm probably just gonna fucking get it done because it's gotta get done.
And correct me if I'm wrong at this point, but at that time, with that relationship, if you didn't do it, it just wasn't going to happen.
Right. And I have carried that with me through my whole adult life. That relationship started when I was 19. Within moments after that relationship started, I started taking on the role of, well, fuck, if I don't do it, it won't get done, but it needs to be done. And I have never fully let go of that. In Discord chat, I posed a question about mental load, and we do a kinky question of the day in our Discord server, available through our Patreon. Anyway, and somebody said, my partner will do what they can, but when they can't, they just don't have it. Even when I'm struggling, I tend to be the one that just gets shit done. And I'm like, same. When you rightfully need to rest, or you're overwhelmed, or, you're going through it, because of all the times you do participate and provide, and it is not like that first relationship where, man, I needed better boundaries. But I still, to this day, until, as you saw last night, I was literally shaking and sweating, and I don't know what happened to me last night. Until I can physically not move, everybody else around me can be collapsing. If it has to get done, I will get it done to my own detriment, mentally and physically. Mentally, I find that when I push through, I feel satisfied I got it done.
Yeah.
But the one thing, and this is where communication becomes so important, please, 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 submissives, learn how to speak up. If I push through and keep carrying the full mental load while the people around me who I care about are stopping or slowing down, either because your body or mind are forcing you to, or I'm over here going, just rest, it's fine. Resentment will absolutely creep in if I don't talk about it. If I don't go, wait, I got too much on my plate right now. Wait, I can't figure this out. It's why last night, it was not on purpose that I did it. It's just something I've become used to that we can do. Well, I was able to go, I cannot decide what dinner is for another night.
Okay.
Please take
over.
But
I'd like to give you another observation.
Oh, sure.
On last night.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Even before you sat down for dinner, while you were preparing dinner, I could see what was happening to you.
I feel like I should get my burp pad from when the kids were little and give you a little pat on the back there.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, folks. But anyway, I saw what was going on with you. And I asked you several times, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
What can I do to help? And you pushed me away. Not physically.
No,
but,
no. Right.
But you...
Do you want to understand why that is?
And it got to the point that you were so adamant about what you were doing, even though I could see that you were...
Oh, I was struggling.
You were teetering on the edge.
I was swaying on my feet, literally. I was shaking. With a knife in my hand.
I had to come in and leave the room and leave you to your own designs. But I could have very easily been there peeling potatoes, cutting potatoes, and whatnot. So
can we talk about this, though?
Yeah.
I think that is a astute observation, and you're not wrong. But let me explain it from a person who, for all kinds of reasons, good, bad, neutral, tries to do all of the things, right? First of all, if I am already the doer of most of the things, right? As we've said, service submissive, business owner, life admin, default parent.
Yeah.
It's always coming at me anyway, right? What gets intercepted by you is when you're aware of it, and you are more aware, first of all, than most cis-het men. You just are. I'd like to take credit for that, but you came that way, so I'm very appreciative. Also, we have gotten better at communicating. So 5 years ago, 10 years ago, could have told you something. You've held that information in your head, pull it out when necessary. So you understand more because I've communicated more. That is very true. So, but one, old habits die hard. Two, in my experience, other people will have it different. When the mental load hits a certain level, and I can't name that level for you.
Yeah.
But when there's just so much going on, there absolutely comes a point where you go, it is faster if I just keep moving forward. Two, there also comes a point, and this was me last night, where we don't have a small kitchen, we have a decent sized kitchen, but man, it feels overcrowded when two of us are trying to cook together. In the space and the tasks that needed to be done. Yeah. Especially because the mental load required that I timed this out just right. So this food item finished at approximately the time this food item, blah, blah, blah. I felt that, and probably incorrectly. I'm not saying that because I thought this, it was correct. Not every thought in my head is the right one. But it felt easier to go, no, because I've already done the mental work of exactly how this needs to happen, so the result can be when and how I want it. So while asking if you can help is the good and right thing to do, the reality is once I've gone through that whole exercise of mapping this out, planning this out, figuring this out, and I've got the steps in my head, all we have to do now is execute. It's actually, in that moment, to me, less helpful. The thing you couldn't have known, because we didn't have this conversation, because I didn't know I was going to be out of it last night. It would be better to have that conversation before we're in execution mode. What's for dinner tonight? Oh, well, I was going to make this, and this is what I was going to make with it. And here's how, part of that's on me to communicate that, but here's how I think that's going to go. That, in a moment like last night, is the time to go, okay, well, I'll do this part, and you do that part.
Okay.
And at that point, then I'm not even mentally planning the part you say you're going to do. You're going to do it. I'm only thinking about this. But by the time I have an entire map in my head of what happens A, B, C, you can't come in on step B and ask if you can help, because it throws the whole thing off. And
yet, okay, and I understand about, because both of us plan, hey, look, I'm going to be doing this later. I'm going to need your help. Let's do that, Are you going to need me to do that? Help you with this later. That does not preclude watching your baby girl Submissive fall apart at the edges.
I know.
Okay?
I didn't know I was that bad. I just knew I was very hot and sweaty, and I couldn't take a deep breath last night, y'all. It got bad. I know it did. Yeah. But that's one of the ongoing, when I read or watch or listen to people talking about mental load, that's one of the major frustrations is there's and I think there's no perfect solution to this. I get where some people come from when they get almost a little agitated when they go, how can I help? Because what you just asked for is new mental load. You've asked for new mental, emotional labor, because I have to stop my plan and go, how do I direct this to you? When a lot of times what somebody wants sometimes is, don't ask me how to help, just do the thing. That last night's not a good example of that, because I was in the process, so all you could do was help. Yeah. But it's where, like I said, resentment can creep in if you are the one carrying so much mental load for so many things. Because if I could have designed a perfect world over all mealtime, every time a meal has to be planned and executed for 2 or 4 of us, is if way before I'm standing there in the kitchen, we're actually having a conversation of, we're going to make this, and this is how we're going to do it. Now, we're at a point in our relationship, that's not actually true anymore. We don't need that, because tonight you're making hamburgers and hot dogs. Right. I know that my job, because we've done this enough times, I know my job while you're standing by the grill, if you end up doing it on the grill, I'm getting the table set, I'm getting drinks ready, I'm slicing the cheese to go on the burgers. Like, I know what my role is, because we've divvied that up. So the mental load of once the decision is made is, it's a burgers and dogs night, we know the division of labor. But there are enough things, even now, after 10 years, we don't have the shorthand for it. And on a good day, I can switch gears and go, hey, yeah, you do this. Or I go, no, I got it. But if you go do this, that would be really helpful. Okay. On a bad day, however, it's too noisy up here in my brain.
Okay. Because I can understand your perception of saying, you asking me what I can do to help creates a new mental load. But what if, and if is the middle word life, it's just the way it is. What if by me saying, what can I do to help? And you saying, oh, could you peel these potatoes? That removes some mental load.
On a good day. When I'm already, I'm only thinking about 2 or 3 things that need to get done. Maybe, I've got that magical moment that only happens once a year where I'm actually only focused on the task at hand, and I don't have a lot else going on. It's like a record scratch interruption. Some days I can handle it better, and I can look out at the mental map I have in my head of what is happening and the steps I've created, and I can go, yes, here's where I could use some help. If you'll do that, that's great. Sometimes, and you've noticed this, you've come in, you've asked, is there anything I can do to help? I'll go, no, I'm good. And then 5 minutes later, I'll go, hey, Daddy, actually, because I've had time to process, because there's enough processing power in the CPU that is my brain to go, let me shift gears. Okay, if I take myself out of this step of the plan and give that to him, and he just does that, and I can see that there's room on the counter for that. I can see that there's the tools necessary. If there's one clean knife and I need it, you don't get it to help me with another task, right? Like, that's what the mental load means when you are the administrator of certain parts of life. Because it's never just peel the potatoes. It's counter space. It's tools. It's access to it. Like, it sounds so stupid to break it down like that, and I think most of us don't think about breaking down tasks to those small steps and pieces. And I'm trying to do it in a split second, and sometimes my neurospicy brain goes, nope, don't interfere, don't help me, get away, I have a plan. And sometimes my brain does that, and then a few minutes later goes, actually, okay, I can see how this would work. And sometimes I'm good, and I'm like, sure, here. Right. And I can't tell you which one of me you're going to get in a given day. I'm so sorry.
May the odds ever be in your favor.
I'm so sorry.
But, and I didn't think about this last night. Sometimes I can be a little slow, folks. I admit it. But, we have a tough love clause that you can shut me down in a heartbeat, and you have used it.
I do. I tell you, get your butt to the doctor, go sit down, take your meds. I fucking love that power,
I think we need one in reverse after last night.
But here's the thing. You already have that.
I do.
The thing is, and it's... Okay, so this is going to sound very... What's the word I want? This is going to sound probably arrogant. I mean it as confidence, because it is my reality. I am a person who's very competent 95% of the time.
And that is true. I agree with that.
And I really struggle with that other 5% when I'm not. Like, it fucks with me. But what that means, a few things, okay? It tends to mean that I've trained the people in my life to expect me to handle it, because I do. Right? So when do people ask me if they can help? All of y'all. I mean, everybody I know. The moment you finally see signs of a struggle. But do you know how much it takes for me to get to signs of a struggle? The struggle's already been happening up in my brain the whole time. And I can hide it because I just get shut down. You probably notice it quicker than anybody, because I get very short-tempered. I'm snappy. There's no kindness in my voice because I'm busy. I got shit going up in my brain, and I'm trying to
Scorpio bitch from hell.
Right.
To a T.
But to get to the point where somebody finally goes, whoa, you need to sit down. I'm going to do this. I've got this. Let me handle it. That's like minutes, hours, days after I probably hit the point I should have tapped out and gone, I need help.
Now here's a question for you on that note with that. Last night I saw your distress, how you were, it was very evident.
Oh yeah, I was about to fall down with a knife in my hand.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of that, y'all.
By coming to you and saying to you, what can I do? Well, where do you need help? Do you see that as a failure on your part because you're not able to do something you think you should be able to do?
I'm sure there are times where that happens, because my submissive self also loves having control. I know that probably is paradoxical to some people. Like, wait, but you're submissive, but you like having control, right? Because I think I can do things right and better than other people. Sorry, that probably does sound arrogant, but I've backed it up with proof, so it's fine. So sometimes, yes, if I am consciously aware, or if I have enough space in my brain to think about, I want to do this because this is what I do for you, or this is my job, I said I would do it. Those moments definitely happen.
Okay.
When the mental load gets to the point where I'm like, I'm short-circuiting, that might be there subconsciously. That thought it's not a conscious thought at all. It is, I have spent however long and however much energy figuring out the delicate balance of how I can do all the things I need to do in the allotted time and have it be done and executed well, and up to my expectations, your expectations within the time I said it would be done, so that they're, everybody's expectations are met at the same time. That's not realistic. I'm not saying it's healthy. I'm just saying it's how my brain works. And it's a very delicate balance. It is a house of fucking cards. And once it gets to that point, and that's not an everyday, all day kind of thing, but that is from time to time, you coming in and going, oh, I'll just take this one card in this part of the pile right here, and everything's fine. It feels like, even though it's not rational, it feels like everything's going to fall apart because I have a plan. And again, is this my brand of neurospicy? I don't know. Is this anxiety? I don't know. Do other people feel this way? Probably. It's the disruption of the plan when I've already got so much going on up in my brain that even asking a question adds to the mental load in a way that is immediately overwhelming. Much easier, and air quote that because really it's not, to brush you aside and go, I got this, than to go, okay, let's wait, let's hold on, let's stop, let's recalculate with this additional person who would mean it was not a house of cards anymore. We've got like a foundation of both of us are working on things. Tell that to my brain in the middle of like I've got all the things going on when the mental load hits that point. I'm very fortunate that is not the constant. That's not the everyday. My reaction to being asked, can I help you, is not the same every day. We just happen to have in our immediate memory banks a very extreme version of that. Because the thing is about the mental load from my perspective, service submissive, when I look at any given situation, let's take last night, for example. I'm thinking that because I'm not a very flexible, physically, I'm not a very flexible person when it comes to change, okay, is what I mean to say. So we typically have dinner around the same time each evening. When that has to be thrown off, it's usually a pre-planned situation. Everybody's aware. I don't love it because I'm not great with my routine being thrown off, but okay, it was not a surprise, so it doesn't bother me. Last night, I had it in my head, right, wrong, or otherwise, that I can manage everybody's expectation of when dinner was going to be at a certain time, but it required a very delicate balance of when I did what and in what order and how it went down. Like the water had to boil in the exact right amount of time for everything. Like it was ridiculously I set too high expectations for everything. At the same time, I'm going, wait, my daddy really likes this thing with his dinner and he's going to want this. Oh, a kid is not going to eat this shit, but they will eat that. So let me make sure I have that. Oh, I'm trying to plan this. We're going to have leftovers from this, and that's going to be lunch. And that's on top of just the noise that's in my head of, okay, you've got an appointment tomorrow. Okay, you're not feeling so great. Okay, what are you doing for work tomorrow? Oh, that's right, we have a stream tomorrow. Like, mental load in that capacity for somebody who does a lot is just, it's a constant, there's just noise, right? Okay. And the way my brain operates, I'm flitting from thought to thought until I get focused on something. And then once I get focused on something, but the worry or I want to keep everybody happy, that is not realistic. And yes, I need to work on it. And I want everybody to get what they expect to get when they expect to get it. Dinner at this time, food that I've said I'm going to make, food that they like, keep the food they don't like away from them. All of that adds onto it, and it becomes this weight of just mental activity that then makes it very difficult sometimes to think rationally, right? So mental load is a service submissive. I most of the time don't mind bearing it. I feel empowered. I feel powerful. I feel like I'm doing something and taking care of the people I care about, and I fucking love that feeling. So 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I'll take the mental load, and I feel like I'm good at it. Am I really? I don't know. From outsiders' observations, maybe not, but I feel like it's something I'm really fucking good at. I was an executive assistant for 4 or 5 years. I was fucking amazing at that job. Okay, ruined that guy for every assistant he had after me. Literally, he would come tell me, I cannot keep working with this person. They're not you. I fucking love that. Maybe it's the praise kink in me. I don't know. But that's I love being able to do the things that you allow me to do for you. I like being a parent who feels like she's to the best of my ability and, throwing a good heavy dose of mom guilt from here time to time, taking care of my family. I like feeling like we're building a business and we're building something bigger than us that's
true
meaningful. But every bit of that comes with its own mental load. And I'm like, bring it the fuck on. Until it's a bad brain day, until I'm like physically not feeling well, until you have those moments where they all collide at once and it's overwhelming. But because of the nature of our relationship and who you are as a partner, as a man, as a dominant, all of that, I know I can come to you and go, I am overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. I need help. Knowing that I can is what makes it easier to let go. Bad luck for you. You were wanting me to let go when I was in the middle of the storm. And I don't have good skills for how to get myself out of that storm. I just got to blow through it. We just got to work through it. Don't talk to me. Don't make eye contact with me. Just let me do my thing. Come out the other end. And then I'm better, Okay. Now, once I had the sharp knife in my hand and I was literally swaying on my feet and sweating, pouring sweat down my face, and I almost sliced my own thumb while trying to slice the roast beef. That was a great time to go, nope, I will take that from you. And I think that's a good partner thing, but that was out. I felt the dominance there. You're like, no, that's mine. You go sit down. And then, even then, I didn't really sit down. I started serving up plates, and I'm swaying, holding the plate.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of that. I find it funny in a way that I know it's ridiculous. Like, I should have just sat my ass down.
It was not your best moment. Let's put it that way.
I was not.
I mean, in light of what we did yesterday afternoon, knowing what that can entail, it's hard to plan anything around that. It's just the nature of the beast.
But I go back to the conversation we ended up having after all of that, where I was like, here's what I need from you. Please don't make me think about dinner.
Yeah.
Please don't make me think. I was like, we do a thing where this is division of labor, which I think we've done that episode too. If one of us cooks, the other one does dishes.
Right.
And sometimes when we're about even, it's been an every other day, or you've taken 2 or 3 days of one and I've taken, we're feeling like we're on even ground. One of us will go, okay, we have to have dinner tonight because apparently you got to do that every fucking night of your fucking life.
Why do you have to eat all the time? Jeez.
What do you want to do, dishes or dinner? And sometimes we have those conversations. That's a division of labor thing. Last night, I was so overthinking about a meal, planning it, and fucking making it that I went, I'll wash dishes. Please, God, just make the dinner. Just plan it, decide what we're having, keep me out of the discussion. Because, look, we grocery shop together.
Yeah.
I know the food we have is something I'll eat. It's fine. I think you turned off that fan instead of turning it on. It's getting very hot in here.
I've been arguing with this fan most of the morning.
So, I think everybody's capacity for their mental load is different. I think everybody's experience with it is going to be different based on not just your role in a power exchange, not just your role in any relationship, but like what the hell's going on with you and how you're wired, how you move through the world. If you are a person who wants to take on a lot of responsibility and just wants to do some of the things, like, and what you've gone through in life, neurodivergent or not, anxiety and depression and others or not, like all of those things are going to affect how you react to whatever your mental load is. Love, among many things that I love about power exchange, and I think it's something that non-kinky relationships could really benefit from, is the fact that in our power exchange, we understand our roles because we've talked about them. We talk about them almost all the time of, this is what you do, this is what I do. When something new comes up, we go, okay, who does what here? We are very cognizant of each other's strengths and weaknesses, and so we play to each other's strengths. You do the things you're better at. I do the things I'm better at. I'm better at the stuff that just requires a lot more time. But you know what? You are, like you said at the very top, you're the one that's talking to the neighbors. You got a new bestie in the neighborhood. You've got the cell phone numbers of several people. You are the one that they recognize and are going to come say hi to. That is a emotional load that I don't want. Look, example there, I was out in the garage today doing something for the shop, doing a paddle thing, and your new BFF pulled into her driveway across the street. Thankfully, it was an appropriate time to do this, but I went, yes, now we're lowering the garage door because she's a very nice person.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not doing that. Whereas you'd be like, oh God, I hope she doesn't come over. But then she would have, and you'd have had a conversation with her.
Yeah.
So we each take on and share in the roles that, there's a word, deliberately. We are very aware and we think about those things and we talk about those things. And some things are dom sub and some things are, you're just better at that than I am, or you're willing to do it. Sometimes it's not a better or worse. It's I'm willing to do this and I'm not willing to do that. And that's how we distribute that within our power exchange.
Yeah.
And I think every relationship needs more of that, of the talking about what are you willing to do that I don't want to do? What am I willing to do that you don't want to do? Because then you can pre-negotiate some of the mental load and you can go, okay, that's not a thing that I have to think too much about unless I'm needed, unless something comes up. Okay. And I can be over here thinking about the things that I need. But then it comes back to communication because then when you are overloaded, you got to the best of your ability.
And I think,
communicate
and
that.
I'm going to say that, and I just thought of this because it applies to me quite a bit. Sometimes it's hard to recognize when you've become overwhelmed with the mental load. It's like mental load creep.
Yes.
It comes up slowly. It builds. It builds. So you don't really always notice it. If it comes on quick, you're like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. We got to do something here. But there are times when this comes in, that comes in, and followed by that, and then another thing, and it just kind of creeps up slowly, and you're not aware of it.
What I have found, this does not make it never happen, but it does mitigate some of that. When I am communicating with you about the things that are going on, like when we don't do it every day, but when we're going to have like a busy scheduled day, I'll sit down and go, okay, here are the things that are being scheduled. Here are the things that we have coming up. Here are the appointments we have. Here's what my day is going to look like. Here, whatever those conversations look like. I have found with us that me just getting that out there, it doesn't necessarily take mental load off of me, but it lets oh, she's got a lot that she's juggling right now, right? Yeah. I tend to tell you before I make appointments for the kids, oh yeah, there's this thing, I'm going to have to make an appointment. Oh yeah, I thought of this. There's probably an appointment needed for that. Oh yeah, we have to do this. Right? And I talk about it enough that I think you are more aware. And sometimes we're on the same page and we're planning stuff together. And I in general, I prefer that because then we're sharing the mental load. And I like that because we work really well together and you'll think of something that I'm not thinking of. I'll think of stuff you haven't thought of and we get a better end result.
Right.
And we share that load. So that goes back to me about communication skills and just talking about stuff. And I can only speak as a very specific type of service submissive. If you are a service submissive or you're the type of submissive who worries about, stressing out your partner or overwhelming them, or you have this idea, false as it ought to be, that you're supposed to somehow just, keep the hard stuff to yourself, that's bullshit. If you are a service submissive or any kind of submissive who feels the weight of the mental load, even though, yes, you signed up for it, you negotiated, you agreed to have this role and you want the role, the more you can talk about what you're working on, what you're thinking about, what you're anticipating, what has to be done with your partner, the more you're going to find opportunities where you can go, hey, can you help me with this? It's easier to go, hey, I need help. I have worked hard and I'm still working at it, but I've worked hard to get to the point where I ask for help before I need it so that we are on the same page. Even if you cannot offer much help beyond the supportive listening role, that is sometimes enough. Or if there's not much you can do, but I've had the space to go, this is a thing and it's on my mind. When you see me then stressed out or struggling, you might not be able to help me with that thing, but you might be able to take care of all the ancillary stuff that's like, you know, making sure a kid does this or making sure the dog has that, all this other stuff that adds to the mental load. I'm not having to worry about that. I can focus on this thing I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
So, you know, as always, communication for the win. Ironically, before we started today's episode, privately, I told JB, I don't know if we have a lot to say about mental load, but we'll just go as long as what.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling there are more things that could be said. If it was a day when I was more articulate, maybe like smarter things could be said.
Right.
I do think we all have our own experience with this, and there are a lot of different ways to deal with it and mitigate it. These are just our experiences.
Right.
We are works in progress. As you could tell from our example from last night, I'm not great at going, I need help.
No.
But I do think it's more important to explain to you what that's like. And I wish I could articulate it better. The chaos in my mind and that house of cards, delicate balance, tight rope walking that I feel like I'm doing. So why it's important that you're like, I'm here. What do you need? How can I help? Sometimes I can't answer that.
Okay.
I want to. What I know for me is that it's better for me to give you a heads up about what's coming so we can maybe map that out better than to be in the center of the storm and try to navigate that. But that's us and our experience with dealing with our own individual mental load and each other's.
Yeah.
And each other's.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
So, are we good?
Oh, I don't know. And we will go into a bonus section.
Yeah.
Even though we've been here for a hot minute already. If you got to listen to this episode in shifts, our feelings are not hurt.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, you did, but then I interrupted. I need you to do my cue again, or I don't know.
So are we really good this time?
That's not for me to say. Keep it kinky, y'all. And we'll see you next week. Daddy.
Yes, baby girl.
Can I talk to the crickets?
Yeah, I'm going to let you.
Okay. Does that mean you're about to get up and walk away? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's what
Something
that was.
I have to do.
The problem is my brain is a little bit like pudding today. So what do I have to talk about? I don't know. I really don't. I really don't. Yeah, no, yesterday was a day of appointments. Tomorrow is a morning of appointments. We are bribing ourselves with a trip to Duncan tomorrow because JB has an 8 a.m. The 13-year-old has a 9:10 a.m. That should never have been scheduled that way. And once I realized I had done that, I was like, oh, but if I try to change it, it's just going to make it worse. So, okay. So we're making the 13-year-old get up with us to go to the 8 a.m. He has to sit either in the car, in the waiting room, whatever, wherever's most comfortable. And then when we have to hope that JB's 8 a.m. appointment is not running late. It shouldn't be. It's the first of the day, but you know how this goes. Then we leave there and we sprint across town to that appointment. And then our reward for getting through both appointments and hopefully everything being on time is we're going to Duncan. So, yeah. And then, Saturday we're going down to JB's mom's house, and we have rented a U-Haul cargo van so that we can bring back some things that he has, claimed for himself. Plus, we're cleaning out and we're doing that kind of stuff. My brain's like pudding, y'all. I don't know. We didn't scene, so I don't even have that. I can tell you that we're working, but aren't we always? That's kind of boring. I can give a kind of a little sneak peek. He's not here to tell me I can't, so we'll go for the ask for forgiveness instead of permission. JB seems to be willing to bring back a YouTube thing we did just a couple of times, but people really liked it. We called it From Daddy's Desk, where it's his perspective, his daddy dom perspective on some kink or power exchange thing. We don't know when exactly. I think we'll do it in both video format and audio podcast format. So the podcast listeners, you'll get to hear the audio version of whatever it is. I'll be putting up posts and things asking for what do you want to get specifically JB's perspective on soon-ish, because he did give me the task of help me come up with some ideas, and I went, I love you so much, my task list is full, this will not be given high priority. So,
and I didn't expect it to.
I know, but I think part of it is I rush in when I hear a thing, and I don't always give JB time to fully explain himself, but sometimes he thinks a thing that is implied is obvious, and my brain just doesn't work that way. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that, but I can't do it anytime soon. And he's like, well, I know that. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't say that. I need you to add that part. Semicolon, take your time. I know you're busy. So, yeah. You ran away. Did you try to make this room cooler by any chance? It's very
I did
hot.
that before we started.
It didn't work.
No.
It didn't work. Yeah, I got nothing. What have you got?
I'm just, I don't know.
Yeah. I think what I need is a nap. Do I have time for it? No, but it is probably what I need.
Yeah. I mean, we have so much going on, and I hate to, and don't get me wrong in saying what I'm about to say. We have so much going on, and all of a sudden my sister's insistence on settling things with my mom's house and belongings almost feels like an inconvenience.
Yeah. No, I actually totally
Okay.
get you on that one.
And yet I am grateful
Yeah.
that it is at least.
It's called There's No Such Thing as a Perfect Time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I have that feeling, but yet I'm grateful. I mean, it is just the fact that we were able to keep that appointment and the way things went. I've been sleeping better at night.
I am so happy for you. Like, I have noticed, because I
Yeah.
can tell when you're not sleeping better.
Right.
And that's a good thing. And the mental load you've been carrying, not to get back on topic, has been a lot of emotional stuff and and worry and concern because things needed to happen that were not happening. And when I saw that this was really potentially, we're still a little skeptical.
Yeah.
This seemed to be really moving forward. I immediately thought, oh, I hope he feels just better. Not good, but better.
So yeah, it has, and I'm grateful to see it moving forward. Very, very grateful for that. So I mean, beyond all that, not been a lot going on.
Same old,
mostly. We are in the pre-planning, lots of pre-planning for the oldest to make his way off to.
And there's still so much to do.
I know.
So much to do. So that's been consuming a big chunk of our time. All the fur babies are doing well. I'm guessing that Cheddar, the outdoor cat that really supposedly had a home and there was drama last week. You can check out the bonus section from last week. I haven't seen her, so
I have a theory.
Okay.
She is the house where she supposedly lives.
Right.
She is now hanging out 2 houses
on the
other side. And
she's
think
forsaken us?
Might be my fault.
Because
I was the one who
scruffed her.
She came to me, I scruffed her and got her in a cat carrier. So I think she's mad at me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's I bear the weight of that.
Well, last time I saw her, she looked like she'd been in a bush. I was like, you need to come to our house. We have the brush you like. I will brush you. She has not come to our house.
No. It might be a hot minute before she comes back this way again. After
she's not going to trust us not to put her in a box.
Or at least me, yeah.
It's fine. But
even though it was for her own good.
It was. I know. I know. I think she might have a tinge of baby girl in her. Because nothing pisses me off than when you make me do something.
Nothing pisses you off more than when I scruff you and put you in a box, right?
You know? Yeah. It's the cat equivalent of going into the corner, so yeah, I think so. I think that's about it for us.
Yeah.
I think we both have pudding brains right now. Thanks for being here with us.
Yep.
For going on.
Glad you can join us today.
Whatever this journey was with us today. Hope to see you Friday night for our
hangout.
Friday night hangout, virtual munch, BDSM Q&A.
Yada yada.
Blah blah. Hopefully I'm firing all cylinders by then.
Same.
Right? We'll see. We'll see. But we're gonna go. We will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye, folks.